Hey, how's everybody doing today? I'm forensic psychologist Dwayne Frazier here to give you another criminal analysis. The subject I picked for today is over Dean Cora, also known as Candyman. He considered the worst example of serial killings in history of the United States, and with the help of his accomplices of David Brooks and Elmer Henley, he was able to kill over 28 people in a short amount of time period. Without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump right in and go ahead and discuss what he did and how he did about it. Now, when it comes to Dean Cora, he was considered what we would call a sadistic pedophile, which tend to be like the most dangerous and violent child molesters there are in the United States. The reason we consider that is because the most horrific things he would do to these children. His age range went from 13 to the age of 20. The reason why he was considered known as a candy man was because his family owned a candy business. And so what he would do is he would give candy to the local children in the neighborhoods. Throughout his time period of work at the business, he made several sexual advances towards the teenage employees that worked there. And when they would complain to his mother about it, who actually owned the business, she would immediately fire them shortly right afterwards. The thing with Coral is that he didn't realize his homosexuality until after he was drafted into the army, where he had his first sexual experience while he was in there. After he was discharged from the army, he went back to working for the family company in the candy business. Shortly afterwards, he met his first accomplice, which was David Brooks, who he met back in 1967. At that time period, they were really close friends. After a while, it kind of took a dark turn for him, where he actually gave her money or gifts to perform certain acts on him. In 1970 is when he killed his first victim. At that time period, Brooks, they had no idea what was going on until he actually walked in on two of his victims at the time period, in which Cora had agreed to give him a new car just to keep his silence. A few months later, he bought him a new Corvette just to keep his silence. Shortly afterwards, he started paying Brooks approximately $200 per victim that he brought him. From 1970 to 1971, he killed a total of 8 people with the help of Brooks. In the winter of 1971 was when he met his next accomplice of Elmer Henley, who was actually supposed to be his next victim, but apparently he saw something in him that made him feel like he could be another accomplice for him. And so he didn't kill him for some odd reason. Nobody can really tell why he didn't. He just didn't for some odd reason. So with that being said, that he actually offered Henley the exact same deal that he gave Brooks, which was he would give him $200 for every person he brought. But what he did was he did in disguise of that he was running a slavery ring. For a short while, Henley had refused to take the offer until after a few months later he actually accepted the offer because his family went into a financial disaster. And so he figured like, hey, my family could use the money, so I'm going to go ahead and do what needs to be done. And so with that, he started helping out with the killings, and he started helping out with bring the boys to him. During an interview with Brooks, he actually explained that he would actually help out with the killings of what Cora was doing. So when you actually view things like this, you tend to realize that there's mostly a dom-sub relationship that is going on between the two people. See how he had groomed both Brooks and Henley to do what he wanted to do. Cora was the mastermind of everything. He would have everything planned out from the tee, from bring the boys there in the disguise of there'll be a party, there'll be drugs, there'll be alcohol there. And so what he would do is once they were there, he would get them high, get them drunk until they passed out. And then once they passed out, that's when the real evil began, where he would strap them to a board and torture them for days before he finally killed them. In interviews, Brooks would say that he never actually interacted or participated in any of the killings at all. His main goal was just bring boys there and collect the money, and he left. Whereas in other interviews, he stated that Henley participated in everything just because he was just as sadistic as Cora was. Many people may ask, how was he able to get away for so long? But the thing he would do is he actually had that part planned out. What he would do is with the boys, he would have them either call home or write letters home saying that they ran away. Just because he knew that as long as they was considered runaway, they wouldn't be considered missing, and the police wouldn't investigate at all. So by police not being investigated, he's in the clear. So by doing that, he had everything planned out from the tee, and was able to get away with it, kill the boys, and buried the bodies in random locations around the Houston area. So when it came to the downfall of Coral, it happened in the most unthinkable way you can possibly think of, just because in 1973, Henley decided to bring another victim, which was Timothy Curley. Timothy Curley was to come to Coral's house for a party, and so on the way there, they met a girl named Rhonda Williams, who was a friend of Curley's. Rhonda, she was outside her house because her father was a drunk, and so he would attack her at periods of time. So to keep from doing that, she would stay outside and wait. And so Henley took pity on her, brought her back to the apartment as well too. And so with bringing her to the apartment, it infuriated Coral just because his whole thing was he didn't like women being there, because it interfered with his whole ritual of getting them drunk, getting them high, and do whatever he wanted with them. With a woman there, he couldn't do none of that just because it interfered with what he had planned. Henley explained to Coral the situation. Coral calmed down. He was like, all right, cool. So he decided to go ahead with the plan. Got everybody high and drunk until they passed out, and then tied them all up. Henley woke up in the middle of it, in which Coral explained to him that he's going to kill all three of them because it was his fault that he brought a woman to his apartment. So with the fact that Henley realized that he was in trouble, he decided to come up with a plan. He told Coral that he would participate in the torture and murder if he agreed to let him go. And in that case, Coral actually agreed to it, just because when you think about it, Henley participated in some of the murders as well too, so Coral had no reason not to agree with him. And so they both took both Curley and Williams into another room, in which in case Coral proceeded into torturing Curley, in which Henley decided to come up with a plan of saying like, hey, I feel like Williams should not be able to see this. I think we should go into another room. Coral just ignored him and continued doing what he was doing, in which in that case, Henley actually grabbed Coral's gun that he had brought out and participated to say that, told him that what we're doing was wrong. We have went too far with this. We can't do this, just because of the fact that Henley could not kill Williams at all, because right before he was about to do anything with her, she asked him, is this a joke? And when he replied, no, this is not a joke, this is real. And she asked him, are you going to do it? In which he actually questioned his motive. By him questioning it, it made him realize did he really think that what he was doing was right? In which he realized he didn't. So with him pointing a gun at Coral had antagonized him by saying that you're not going to do it, you're not going to pull the trigger, in which Henley actually fired several shots into him. After realizing that he had killed Coral, they sat there and tried to figure out what their next move was. Henley wanted to just leave the apartment and forget all about it, but Curley and Williams had told him that maybe we should call the police, in which in that case, Henley called the police and told them that he had killed somebody and they should come along quickly. When police arrived, that's when Henley confessed to everything, from abducting the boys, bringing them to the apartment, to torturing them, to the murders. He told them everything, including the areas that they had actually hid the bodies at. After the arrest, Henley was indicted and found guilty of 6 murders, and Brooks was indicted of 4 but was found guilty of 1, in which they are both incarcerated. Henley is currently incarcerated, but Brooks had passed away back in May 20th of 2020 due to COVID. When you come to think about this case, you come to realize that there are a lot of things that come to factor, because with this case, you come to realize that Coral had no history of mental illness. For some reason, we do not know why he decided to start killing the boys. With most people in this cases back then, homosexuality was considered illegal and looked down upon because it was not right. And so to hide what he was doing, he felt like he had to kill these people to keep it secret. But the fact that he had both 2 accomplices that helped him out, they was easily bribed, so that way they can never tell what they was doing. And since they was also involved as well too, just by telling them, they will also indict them in what they was doing, just so it was a way of an insurance policy for Coral. To keep them from talking, they had to participate. I'm going to try my best not to bore you with all the details, but I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up for now. If there's anything you'd like to know or any topics you want to go ahead for me to discuss, go ahead and leave a comment down the bottom. Don't forget to like and subscribe at the very bottom. And thank you for watching.